My name is Paul Staddy. I grew up in a small town in Northern California called Morgan Hill. It was a town of about 2,500 to 3,000 at the time when I was growing up. Kind of like the way Westwood was several years ago. My father was one of 5 physicians in the town. When I was a freshman in high school, my dad joined the Air Force. We then moved overseas. We lived in Madrid, Spain. We lived way down in southern Italy, right where the heel is. And we lived in Lakenheath, England. I graduated from high school, from my senior class in Italy. It was the first senior class that the high school had. We went to school on the air base, is what we did. It was kind of like an isolated community surrounded by Italians, etc. So again, I bring that up because Westwood is somewhat of an isolated community. I just wanted to make a comparison. When we moved to England, I put in my paperwork for college and then got accepted and went to BYU, Brigham Young University. I was there for a year, and then I went on a 2-year mission for my church. I went back to England. When my 2-year mission was done, I came back stateside, got a job working as a pharmacy technician, and at the same time enrolled in school. I graduated with an associate's degree in general science and a bachelor's degree in criminal justice from Sacramento State. At that same time is when I joined the Department of Corrections. I lived in Vacaville. I lived in Vacaville, Calipatria, and Susanville, and spent the last 21 years here. At that time, I raised a family, and my kids are now grown adults, and I'm retired now and basically ready to step in and do the job.
Thank you. Let's hear it for Mr. Staddy. And next we have Alex DeMarco.
Thank you, Pam. Well, let me start my timer. Most of you know me already. I came with my father at 10 years old up here in '57, and he fell in love with the area, the town, ended up buying our vacation home here, where we came up, and I kind of grew up in the summers with a lot of local guys. Then I moved, my father retired here, and that would have been 1972. I came up to visit them in '75. I was in a rock and roll, I had a piece of jazz rock group in LA and a job working for Xerox in a high-tech lab in their computer division. But really just never decided not to come back. I came back, kind of quit my job and moved up here. Really wanted to be close to my folks and hopefully God would bring me a beautiful lady. We'd raise a family, and I guess I traded a lot of quantity of stuff for a real quality of stuff. I just saw the quality of life here being so attractive that I was willing to bail on everything else. So as you know, my degrees are in electronics and then business admin and public admin from Pepperdine. And I've always been inclined towards economic development, and helping the community. Soccer coach for 30 years, and a referee, and ski instructor, and envisioned the Paul Bunyan Mountain Festival, brought in ESPN to do a production that they ran for a couple of years here on a logging show. Negotiated a $25,000 international logging show companies, something like what they're talking to now, for $5,000 to perform here with competitors from all over the world. And so there's been, I'm really big in economic development. I love this town. I'm still here and doing my best to take it to the next level and just create vitality again in Westwood. Thank you.
Now, last but not not least would have been Mr. Christopher Gallagher, but he could not make it. However, we did send a representative, Mr. Peter Talley.
Good evening, everybody. It's good to see you all again. I don't need that.
Okay.
I'm going to remain seated too. I'm here for Chris. Chris would love to be here, and I think Chris might have even asked for this, but he had to be in connection with the special district general managerships at legislative day for special districts in Sacramento today. So he's probably driving on his way home now. So sorry that he couldn't be here. And he said, "You're not watching television. You're going to come and you're going to speak for me." So here I am, missing the janky. Well, I'm not missing it yet. Anyway, Chris is from San Jose originally. He got an A degree from San Jose City College, a BS from San Jose State, and that means in Administration of Justice, and a Master's in Public Administration from Golden Gate University. As work history, he started out as a park ranger in Santa Clara County and then matriculated to being a policeman and worked for 20 years in Watsonville. Then he became chief in Susanville and worked for 2 years, no, chief in Arcata, and worked wherever that is, and worked for 2 years there, 3.5 in Susanville and 2.5 in Las Vegas. Then he retired, and in his retirement, he's become the special district manager for Spalding and for Indian Valley. He does background investigations for the Lassen County Sheriff's Department. He does a lot of volunteer work. He was on the grand jury with me for 2 years on my grand jury. He's on the board of the symphony, has been for 10 years. He is on the Best of Broadway board and performs in both the symphony as a singer and the Best of Broadway as a singer. He has 2 years with the Lassen County Chamber. And he has 2 years with something which I can't read in my own writing. Lassen County Fish and Game Commission. So much for abbreviations. He's a workshop member at his church. He's an avid hunter and a strong proponent of the Second Amendment. And he's a licensed hunting guide. And those are his volunteer activities. And I'm done.
All right, let's hear it for Peter. I'll go without this as well. I got a big mouth. So, I'm going to assume, Peter, that you will not be answering these questions, or...
I would love to answer them. I will not give my own beliefs. I will give his, but they're pretty much in line.
Okay.
And frankly, I think the beliefs of all three of these gentlemen are pretty much in line. I listened to them on the radio yesterday.
Okay, so we'll just go down the table then. You're going to ask a question, you all get the same question, you get a minute to answer. We're not really looking for rebuttals, just so you know. Okay, what services do you plan to implement in Westwood? Ms. Verstad.
I should have had a professional speaker to be in place for me. What services would I like to bring into Lassen County?
Westwood in particular.
Westwood in particular. What I would like to do is I would like to advertise and speak up the services, what's the word I'm looking for? The amenities that we have now. We've got some of the greatest fishing areas in the world. We've got Great Lakes, we've got hiking, we've got trails, we've got biking, we've got camping. Maybe we could form a table that would do the advertising or to speak about Lassen County and Westwood and Lake Forest and Spalding. I think Westwood, Lake Forest, and Spalding have really been neglected over these last several years. I think we need to accentuate the positive things that are going on in the county and advertise them. Thank you.
Okay. Mr. DeMarco, same question.
Well, Gail, I think that
Don't mess with the queen. Don't mess with the queen.
Primarily, I've been working on trying to save Young's Market before its demise. 6 months ago, I was trying to solicit numerous parties to make the purchase and take over that operation. I'm still working on that, and there is hope. There is a number of things that I would like to do, and we can do the impossible. I fought all kinds of stuff, you know, to even bring in ESPN or the logging show, and a lot of people say nonsense, pipe dreams. I'd like to see this be a destination for Amtrak service that brings people up here because of the restoration of the historic town. We have profound things of our history. Paul Bunyan, the birthplace of those of the fourth mythology of America. Curtis and I are working on a natural gas line coming from Susanville, the feasibility of that coming to Westwood, and then distribution from there into possibly the peninsula and Chester. Looking to make jobs and small and large opportunities.
Thank you. Mr. Kelly?
I think Chris would say, and he said this yesterday, and he said it in his newspaper statement. He didn't say this, but I think he would say Westwood will get the same services as every other part of the county, no more, no less. But what he would like to see for Westwood is an increase in small businesses, particularly Young's Market, find somebody to take that over or get another store up here. And what he would like to see for everybody is get them involved in the budget process. There's a lot of people here, there's people sitting in this room that are critical of the budget process, and rightfully so. And I think Chris, as he said yesterday on the radio, would like to teach the people how to do the complicated governmental budget process.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so we're going to start with you again and come this way down the table so everybody's got it fairly. What do you perceive as Westwood's 3 biggest needs?
People, services, and economic growth is what I perceive, and I think Chris would say that too. And then all these gentlemen, both these other gentlemen, I think feel the same way. That's what I gleaned from listening to them on the radio yesterday. But we've got to improve the economy. You've got to keep things local. Chris is real big on buy local. Well, you got to have people to buy from here. There are some, and there could be more. This was a bigger town once. I love your idea about the natural gas. I know Calgary would love it.
Alex, would you like to answer that? What do you perceive as Westwood's 3 biggest needs?
Well, I'd say the first one is economic development, the creation of jobs. I think all of you know what the population is of our students at the school right now. That is an indication that there's a lot of us old folks and maybe some young 20s that haven't really established their lives. But there isn't really a harmony of natural age group here that would be young families. Because they have to have jobs. And that is my number one thing. One of the things I will do, and I announced it yesterday on the radio, if elected, I will work hard to convince the rest of the supervisors, and I believe I can build a case to do that, to restore the Economic Development Department. That was closed about 2 years ago in Lassen County. 25 years ago, I called the Department of Commerce and had a gal come up named Susan Brown. I convinced her to come up because we needed an economic development department in this county. She assured me that the planning department, she was sure, handled that and knew what they were doing. She left my meeting here and went over to Susanville at 5:15. She called me and goes, "Alex, you're right, they're clueless. They don't know anything about economic development. I'm going to go back to Sacramento and try to get you a grant." I don't remember the exact amount. I think it was around $150,000 that was provided to establish an economic development department. Because of maybe inept or careless management of that, there were a number of projects that failed. And as a result, it's an embarrassment, I think, to the county. That was closed 2 years ago. I'm going to work to reopen that, because if you know what you're doing, through the Economic Development Department, you can access grants to accomplish feasibility, community benefit projects. And that's exactly what I'll do. Outside of that, public safety, I don't know, is there a time on these answers? Public safety, I'm real big on the fact that we have growing instability in our social structure, our government structure, and we've got a lot of drug issues in America, including our own town. These things are growing problems, and public safety is a primary responsibility of government. I just want to make sure that the Sheriff's Department has the funds they need to accomplish the job that is going to get more and more difficult. Outside of that, the preservation of our environment and the beautiful things we have. I've been involved with a number of some of you in the accidental drainage of Walker Lake. It looks like Fish and Game and maybe PG&E are complying with our requests so far. We'll see if they follow through with their commitment. So those are some of the things.
Good, thank you very much. Mr. Static?
Yeah. First of all, I want to explain to everybody here, fortunately or unfortunately, I am not a politician. I pray that I never become one. I can't brag about being politically connected, and I'm proud of that fact. I'm not a gifted orator or a fancy speaker, so I'm not going to be able to mesmerize you with my voice or with my look. What you're going to get from me is just honesty, the truth, the real answer. It's not going to be padded. The answer's not going to be 10 minutes long, so it comes out not making you feel so bad. It's just going to be the truth. The things that I think we need here, of course, we need economic growth. We need to encourage people, local people, to open their own businesses. But this needs to be done. Let me back up. I was recently endorsed by a candidate who's running for U.S. Representative for the United States Congress, has endorsed me in my candidacy. And this person has successfully brought Fortune 500 businesses into Chico and has helped Chico to prosper. He and I have talked many times. We've discussed these issues in length, and he has assured me that he will work with me and not just bring Fortune 500 businesses, but we can bring Fortune 250 businesses into our county. What that will do is that will help spur economic growth. That will help encourage more local people to open up their mom and pop shops, make something that they've just been dreaming about, make it actually come true. This will spur economic growth. That's all I've got for this subject.
Okay, thank you very much. I've just been told after this round we're back on the timer. Okay, so Alex, I'm going to start with you. What is your opinion of State of Jefferson movement?
The State of Jefferson movement is a very interesting one, and I approach it from three ways. First, to see if it's justified. The purpose of the justification is primarily the lack of representation that small rural counties do not have in Sacramento. Give you an example. The 22 counties that are potentially become in California, not including the 7 in Oregon, that would become the Jefferson state, have a total of 11 representatives in Sacramento. Oh, you're saying 6. Well, yeah, I've heard different numbers on this, and Carol's saying that there's 6. But I know that Los Angeles alone has at least 11. So, and she probably has a higher number on that. But there's an example.
37 assembly.
Right, and that would probably be bringing in city council and stuff like that. So the justification first, the second one is there a congressional Is there a constitutional and legal pathway? I've examined that, and there appears to be. States have done this before. The third is the financial feasibility. And I crunched a lot of numbers 3 months ago. They have new statistics up that are supposed to be on better data. I have to work on that. No use in entertaining it unless it's feasible.
Thank you. Mr. Teller?
I should have texted him,
I
but
know.
I'm going to go out and put my neck on the line. I don't think he supports it. I don't think it's going to work, and I don't think it's practical. I think you make government better in your own state and stay with your own state. It's just, I'm getting into my beliefs now. I don't think Chris supports that, I must be honest.
Mr. Staddy?
Alex is right. Theoretically and politically, it is feasible. And I have gone to all the town hall meetings that they've had in the area. I've listened to Mark Baird speak. I've asked him questions. We've talked at length afterwards. And right now with the state of Jefferson, I don't have an opinion. I haven't learned everything that I need to know to feel comfortable to be able to say I support it or I don't support it. I know a bit about it, and I have a lot more questions that need to be answered. And I need to find out what the people in District 1 want regarding the state of Jefferson. Thank you.
Okay.
Gail?
Yes.
May I just make a correction? According to this information from the state of Jefferson, there are only 6 representatives from the 22 potential counties, compared to, I know of at least 11 in Los Angeles alone.
Okay. I forget who's asking this, answering first, so we're going to go with you, Mr. Teller. What long-term objectives should Lassen County move towards in the next 20, 30, 50 years?
Once again, I want to use only Chris's thoughts and beliefs, but he made a list for the and once again, business growth. Take advantage of the growth in Reno with the high-tech industries, and some of that's going to bleed into southern Lassen County. Use Herlon, use it for shipping, use it and use the airfield for shipping. And once again, promoting small businesses. Try and repair the Pine Creek drainage. These are his ideas. Help people become a part of the budget process. There are people sitting here that I know are critical, with good reason, of our budget process. The people need to be involved. And the biggest thing, and one of the bigger things, that he'd like to see for the county, and both these other men would like to see it also, is the prevention of crime, the reinstitution of the joint task force, which all fizzled because of budget cuts. The city of Susanville fizzled because we lost income and revenue, and we couldn't have the joint task force anymore to fight crime and fight specifically the drug law. I've probably overextended my time. Once again, these are Chris's beliefs. Happen to be my own. They are his beliefs.
Alex, you're up next. Want me to read the question? What long-term objectives should Lassen County move towards for 20, 30, 50 years?
Well, first of all, once again, I would say diversified, what I call sustainable economic development. Businesses that, and these things are, we have a lot of things of value here. You gather, create a group of people, you look at natural resources that can be converted into higher products that we have abundance of. That used to be logging at one time, that's what created all this. The other area is, if elected, I'm going to be spending a lot of time with what's called OES, the Office of Emergency Services. With the instability of our country and our state and our financial instability, with our incredible levels of debt federally and in California, I think that and the increase of earthquakes and volcanic activity has been exponential over the last several decades, that I believe that we're going to face some extreme challenges from natural or maybe unnatural disasters. And as a result, we are in a very isolated situation here, especially if a large earthquake took down Devil's Corral Bridge. So I want to make sure that that Westwood and all the areas of Susanville, especially rural areas, have a dynamic emergency services plan in place in each community.
Thank you. Mr. Staddy, what long-term objectives should Lassen County move towards in the next 20, 30, and 50 years?
That's a long time to plan for. To be honest with you, I don't think our county government has a plan to deal with growth or what to expect in the future, 30, 40, 50 years from now. And these other two gentlemen are right. We need to shore up what we have. For example, I think law enforcement was mentioned a few minutes ago. That's exactly true. There have been so many cuts to our police force and sheriff's department that we're not safe anymore. Our equipment is outdated and our personnel level is beyond the critical point. We need to increase the size of our sheriff's department and raise the pay of all our local law enforcement officers. We need to have usable equipment for our peace officers to become and to remain safe again. This will help us to retain the personnel that we've spent so money and time on training. Right now, they get hired, they get trained, they go somewhere else. One last thing I'd like to mention is we need to, I'm big on this, I'm big on getting people involved. We need to develop a board of the people, of the citizens, to bring forth ideas. If you look at successful governments, they're not successful because 3, 4, or 5 people had all the ideas and made it great. They inquired and they got input from the local people. And they took the best ideas, and that is what made them great. And that's what I would do here.
Thank you. You're the first one this time. Okay, these questions are about code enforcement. Will you help us to get these codes enforced throughout the county, such as cleanup of properties?
Blight, absolutely. That's on my list.
Love your answers. Next.
Okay.
Do you have anything else you want?
Driving through some of these streets, not just in Westwood, but a couple of other little towns here, you see buildings, you see homes, 30, 50, 70, 80 years old, I'm not sure how old, but they've got windows that are broken, nobody lives there, they've got signs on them saying keep out, they're rotting, they're falling down, they're a danger, they're a hazard to our children and to our neighborhoods. What we need to do is, get rid of them, knock them down, clear the way, make opportunities for other people to build houses that they will keep and maintain. When you drive through these streets, like with me, I fall in love with this town, I'm driving down the street, I'm admiring it, and then I see a house or two like this. We need to fix that problem, we need to make everything beautiful.
Alex?
I've done a lot of this. In the first Paul Bunyan Festival and the committee that we had, found 10 capable people to be managers of over 100 volunteers. One of those was Jim Carpenter, and he happened to have a tow truck. So we worked for months to get authorizations from DMV on licenses that had expired years prior. And we only got a few permits through that process, and so Jim went and said, Alex, just give me the green light. I said, Jim, I can't give you the green light, but if it were me and I wasn't president of the chamber, I would probably go knock on the door, see if someone would like their vehicle in the alley removed for free. And if nobody's there, maybe it's abandoned, Jim. So in any event, we pulled out over 50 in that first year, And over the next 2 years, over 150 vehicles were taken to the dump. So townwide cleanups. Yeah.
Mr. Talley?
I assume the audience member's question deals not only with automobiles, but with blighted properties. I have not discussed this specifically with Chris, but I do know that as a chief of police in Susanville, he dealt with cases dealing with neighborhood blight and enjoining what becomes a nuisance by mandatory injunction by which people are required to remove. But I do know this about Chris. He is not heartless, and he likes to bring both sides to the middle. I don't know if that makes him a politician, but
Speak for
you
that.
can't just kick people out of houses. You have to work with people. Some people truly have economic difficulties, and I think Chris would feel that way, that you have to do everything with tact and due process.
Okay, so first up, I'll give you the question next. Support of the Westwood One-Stop Centre. Bob Pyle was very supportive of this, and the question is, as supervisor, would Mr. Gallagher support it also?
You know, I haven't talked to him about that, but I know he supported the one in Erlaw. I know he investigated it as a grand jury. So I think he would equally support this one here, where necessary.
Good. Alex?
Of course, this is exactly what government needs to do, especially rural government, large counties, people off in distant places, is try to get services in the community. And that's what we have with One Stop. Rather than people having to drive, and the people that they serve don't either have transportation or maybe aren't incapable of getting there. So yes, of course, anything that can immediately serve the community's needs is, I'm going to always be supportive of. Other programs to boot, securing funding with grants like what's called community development grants for economic development here, helping people with a good business plan. Even if they have a desire, help them develop a good business plan so we can get it funded and they can start a business. Look what Marty and Diane have done. It's just amazing. A little used furniture place, and he can't fix the furniture fast enough. People are coming from all over to get stuff here. So it's good.
Thank you. Mr. Staddy?
You know, Bob Pyle supports one thing that I'm completely in favor of. He has been protecting the private property rights of our ranching and our farming community. And that's something I support 100%. That's something I will continue as supervisor. Real simple answer for One Stop. Yes, I support it.
Very good. I actually should have said that was a yes or no question, but I wanted to hear yourself. Okay. Now I would like you for 1 minute to tell me what your experience is as a community leader. Mr. Staddy, you get to go first.
My experience as a community leader?
Yes.
Well, I'd like to brag about the fact that I am not a politician, that I have no political experience, that I don't belong to any cliques, I don't belong to any of the good old boys. I've stayed away from that for a reason, so I can't point my finger at myself and make fun of myself. I'm not real big on politicians right now. I think they do more harm than good in a lot of ways. So I can't brag to you about where I stand in the community, my status, how I have changed things or fixed things. And I'm glad for that. With me, you're going to get somebody, you're going to get new blood, you're going to get fresh ideas, and you're going to get someone who is going to be the voice of the people. My motto throughout this campaign has been, let me be your voice. Talk to me, and we'll take out the middleman. I will take your issues straight to the supervisory table. Thank you.
Yeah, as a leader, You know, it's hard to talk about yourself. You feel so bad. You know, it sounds like reading this is like a resume, which is the closest anyone gets to perfection. Okay, but I've had you know, we've survived and we've thrived with the Last and True Value. At one time, we've been here for a while. I had a dynamic lumber yard, building supply, rental operation. Recession took it out, and but we've stayed, we've survived. My definition of poverty is when I'm unwilling to take a box of Kleenex out of our own store because we can use toilet paper and I might be able to sell it. We've had years like that, and but we stayed. I don't know his sheer determination, but I know a love for this community has been a lot of the motive. So aside from that, as far as my perspective of leadership in government, and I think the leadership of envisioning the Paul Bunyan Mountain Festival, assembling a group of talented, creative people to help define all the aspects of it, 10 managers, 100 volunteers, and that thing raised over $25,000 for the organizations in town in one weekend. And it's sustained now into, I don't know, what's 20, since 88? What is this? 29th year. It's a regional event. People talk to me about Paul Bunyan over in Susanville and even parts of Plymouth County. So I think that, you know, a leader is only good as to the people that are willing to follow him. And the people that I work with are a dynamic team of creative people that are committed to this community and the welfare of their families and friends in this town. That's it.
Thank you.
You're asking what are his qualities as a leader?
Experience. What's his experience as a leader?
Well, I can cite his volunteerism, which I already mentioned. He's been on countless organizations. And he maintains, and he stays on them. But his experience leading police departments and leading as a captain in Watsonville before he even became a chief rings true, comes close to home. He drives 2 days to Greenville from Susanville and 2 days to Spalding to lead 2 special districts which provide recreation, sewer, and water. I would say he's well qualified to be a leader among this town.
Thank you. Okay, this question is regarding code enforcement again. What will you do in the area of animal rescue, dogs and cats? And Mr. Staddy, you get to go first.
First, we need to, what do you call it? The person who runs the little truck for the dog catcher, animal control officers. Sorry. We need to reestablish that position of animal control because there are animals